Hello everyone, welcome to the Raise.Dev Hacktoberfest Helpdesk. My name is Joe and this is our last show of the day. If you are new to the Helpdesk, this is your resource to get all the help you need to land your pull request this Hacktoberfest, whether that means finding helps and got that last stream of the show energy, folks. Whether that means getting all the tips and tricks you need to complete that pull request, or whether you're still looking for your final projects of the month, you've got 4 days left. We are here to help you with that. We're showing you great new projects, showing you new ways to contribute to them, and meeting lots of wonderful special guests. And we have a special guest joining us very shortly. But before I bring on our special guest, I've got a couple of little house things to run through. For those of you who are not new to the show, you will be used to all of this. So a couple of notes, and then we'll get on with the show. So first up, as I said, we are here to help you, which means answering your questions. Please feel free to drop those into the chat at any time. We will answer them as we go along. Just a brief note, we had a fun thing last week where everyone thought we were pre-recorded for reasons. If you ask a question and we don't answer it immediately, it might be because we're talking about something else, or we're kind of finishing up our current topic. We will get to your question. Do not panic. We will answer it before the end of the show. The other thing is, if you want to post a link at any point, such as to a resource or to a project that you are working on, you're very welcome to do so. But we do run a moderation bot, so just at RaiseDevs in Twitter, in Twitch, let me know that you're sharing a link, and I will add you to the allow list so you can post a link. Hey Shreya, say that copy. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining us. Whilst I'm speaking about making sure that you all don't get yourselves banned in the chat, I should probably add our guest to the VIP list, because it'd be nice if our guest doesn't get banned from chat. That's always very awkward. So the other thing to let you all know about, this is our last week of Hacktoberfest. We've got the last couple of days left, and we have, after this show, 12 more shows left to go. You can find our full schedule for the week at twitch.tv RaiseDevs schedule, where you'll be able to get all of the schedules, all of the guests that are coming on the show, and stick around at the end of the show and I'll run you through who we've still got to come on and what you can expect from each of those shows. So the last thing from me, just before I bring on our guest, is to talk about Raise.Dev. If you haven't heard of Raise.Dev before, or you're new to our channel, as I said, Raise.Dev is a resource to help you level up in your developer career, whether you're a new developer, you've just finished a bootcamp, or you've come from a career change, anything like that, and you're trying to get your first developer job, whether you're an experienced developer now trying to get a promotion, get a raise, learn how to manage an engineering team. We have resources for you, and most importantly, we have expert coaches who will meet with you and help you get the experience you need to make it to your goals. And you can sign up completely for free now whilst we're in early access at Raise.Dev. So finally, that's all from me. That just leaves me to bring on our special guest. So please welcome Michelle to the stage. Hey Michelle, how you doing?
Hey everyone, how's it doing?
Oh, why is the banner not coming up? There we go. Excellent, cool. Oh, we're really struggling.
Hashtag live stream problems, right?
Yeah, we already had tech issues today. We've gotten through. Anyway, would you like to introduce yourself to the folks who haven't met you before?
Sure, hey everyone, Michelle, everyone just calls me Mish, so Mish Manners. I'm the developer community manager at GitHub. Super excited to be here. I'm also known as the Hackathon Queen, so super pumped to talk to you all about Hacktoberfest and all the cool things that's been happening. And it's only like, what, 3-4 days left of Hacktoberfest, so...
Very few days left, indeed. Yeah.
Not very many days left at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who haven't seen our show before, how we like to do things in the show, we start off asking our guests about their careers and their journeys, how they got into this crazy world of tech and how they got to where they are, and then we'll pivot over to talking a little bit about Hacktoberfest and open source. So I guess to kick off, we met briefly while I was at GitHub, but not all that much. I think the first time we properly met was in the context of hackathons. So I guess I'd like to dig into the Hackathon Queen and hear a little bit about like where that title came from and how you got to be here.
Okay, sure. Well, title is an interesting one. So I got asked this on my stream last night.
Nice.
So we were chatting about it. So the title came from me actually just running hackathons. So back in 2015 is like when I really started running hackathons, and it was when I was working with Melbourne Connect, which was then called Carlton Connect. And it's a science, innovation and tech precinct as part of Melbourne University. Mm-hmm. And we used to run lots of big events for big companies. So we had stuff like TED Talks, we had science gallery shows, we had launch nights, we had master classes, we had academics running stuff, we had startups running stuff, we had big corporates running stuff. It was a big kind of like melting pot of all these things.
Yeah. That's a wide range of groups of very different developer cultures.
Yeah, exactly. And this company walked in one day and was like, yo, we want to run a hackathon. Everyone kind of looked at one another and went,
right.
what the heck's a hackathon? I was like, God, I done one before at uni. I can run hackathons. They're fun. So I turned around this hackathon in like 4 weeks for them.
That's
super
awesome.
successful in terms of like running well. People loved it. They had really good outcomes.
Nice.
And it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people who were at that hackathon that went, we want to do the same. And so I got called up the next week, hey, can you do IBM's hackathon? Following week, hey, can you do ANZ's? Hey, can you do this? So by the end of so that hackathon, that first hackathon was August 2015. By the end of 2015, I'd run like 20 hackathons.
That's awesome.
So the community started calling me the hackathon queen. And I was like,
nice.
I get kind of riffed on this a bit. So now I officially own the trademark to it. So no one can
really? Oh, that's super cool. Oh god, I feel like we can now spend this whole episode now talking about applying for trademarks and how that process looks. That's awesome.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Good fun.
Super cool. Yeah, so I guess I want to spend a little bit of time on that because we've had a couple of people kind of mention in passing, like talk about hackathons a little bit, and that's mostly because like I came up through hackathons, and like a lot of people have been on the stream had their similar like starts in hackathons. Someone dropped in chat hackathon queen trademark.
I was like, you got it.
Well, do you actually technically shouldn't it be an R if it's actually a registered trademark? TM is just for a pending trademark, isn't it?
I think you can do either or. You know, R and TM. You just go all out and have R and TM and C and just have
RTM, read the manual. But yeah, so but we've never really kind of gotten into them really fully. They've always been kind of mentioned in passing. So I guess I want to spend a little bit of time on that and ask you like what you think like makes a good hackathon.
Yeah, that's really good. Honestly, I think like my favorite hackathons, what made them really good, and I think what makes them really good is like the outcomes that you're thinking of. I get lots and lots of people, individuals, companies, corporates, all coming to me and being like, "Yo, we want to run a hackathon." I'm like, "Cool, why?" And they're like,
because everyone else is.
we don't know, or it's like crickets in the background. And it's like we don't know. And I was like, well, you don't know why you're running a hackathon. Let's go back to that first. So having your why, I think, is really, really key. Because if you don't have like a why you're running one, then you're kind of not going to get anywhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so, having a why, not just because everyone else is doing it. That's what I get a lot of. Everyone else is doing it, so we got to do one too. But then creating an environment where people can really like run and take their own ideas. Like, if you put a lot of constraints around a hackathon, you're not probably going to get what you want out of it, or the participants aren't going to get what they want, and you're not going to get really good outcomes. So having a framework, but giving people a lot of freedom within that framework really works really well. Otherwise, just having a really clear, open mind, encouraging people to like, again, think outside the square, or the cliche kind of things. Encouraging people to do what they want. So really, for hackathon for me is like coming up with really good ideas and solutions to problems and challenges, whether that's in a specific tech space or whether that's like a more broader sort of sense. So if it's less of a hackathon, say for example, and more of a ideas jam. The same kind of concepts go for each one. Now, obviously, if it's a super heavy technical, hey, build this thing for me in however much time and it's got to work, you still want to be solving a problem with that. So, like, for example, when we ran the Actions Hackathon, it's still...
I'm assuming you mean GitHub Actions there, right?
Yeah, GitHub Actions. So it's still like build an action that does something rather than just build something because it's just random and cool. Although we still have a few random and cool ones, but they end up having really fun use cases.
I see Martin Woodward at GitHub building something to do with actions and some light up pumpkins recently. That was a thing. That
was for the Raspberry Pi Foundation. He built 3D printed a pumpkin and then like with the GitHub logo in it, and then put a Raspberry Pi. I'll grab it and I'll pop it in the chat because I've actually still got it sitting up in my tabs because I'm going to be printing out one of these pumpkins as well
nice.
for Halloween.
Very good. Very cool. Yeah. So sorry, I completely interrupted you. So yeah, like there were people like you. The aim there was to like try and build something that had a use case and was useful. Although like obviously fun is encouraged and allowed along the way. But
100%.
it's like a
we want
balance,
people to
right?
have fun, especially with stuff like game jams. Like we've got the GitHub game jam coming up with Game Off. GitHub Actions Hackathon, those kind of ones. It's like we really want you to encourage you to build something like fun and exciting, but also think about how it can be useful. Because at the end of the day, you want something that's useful, even if it's a video game, right? How is your game different to other ones? Why are people going to want to play it over the 226 other games that got submitted for JS13K games, say for example?
Right. Awesome, very cool. Yeah, I think what you said about the constraints is a really good one. There's definitely like a really fine line with constraints where like you need some level of constraints to ideate and to have a framework to hang your ideas on. But then I very often see very long, beefy problem statements at hackathons, which just like, okay, cool, you've literally told them what you want them to build. So like, where is the creativity here, right? I can give a few
examples of that too, right? So like a good hackathon is like, for example, again, JS13K games. Build a game in less than 13 kilobytes that's written in JavaScript or HTML.
Right, perfect.
Like, kind of specific around what to do, but nothing on the kind of context. So you get 227 quite different games, right?
Yeah. And it's like literally a constraint, and that's all it is. It's just like, hey, you've done the 13K, nothing else.
There was one hackathon I went to that was, I didn't realize that they'd constrained it this much until like the end. It was like, build a marketing campaign to tell the citizens of Melbourne why they should save more water. And it's like, that is so specific. You're literally just paying people to like do a job
make your prototype.
Like, that is not what you want. And I will say that too, is that if it's a public and it's an open hackathon, there is every single right that you should let the participants own their IP. I've seen hackathons that have tried to like, you come to our hackathon, we own all your IP, and I was like, A, I'm not running a hackathon for you where the participants don't get to keep their IP, and B, no one's going to show up anyway.
It's also just like such a weird notion. Like I remember that being a big thing when like I was first getting hackathons in 2020 in the UK as well, and just looking back on it now, it's just like, especially during Hacktoberfest, where like we're literally looking at the we're in a context in which literally everyone is doing open source at this point. It's just like, how was that ever? Did anyone ever think that was a good idea?
Well,
it seems like an alien world.
Idea because they think that like paying people prize money is going to attract like the right kind of talent and stuff, and like it can, but at the same time, it's like, why are you paying someone $5,000 prize when this project that you're working on is worth about $100,000? Why don't you, like, if you want something like that, build a hackathon where there's a really open idea and then hire the winning team to actually do something for you. If that's the way you want to go about, like, if that's the way you want to attract different talent, think about a different way than just own all your IP at the end of this hackathon.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. So yeah, I guess going from there, so it started off in hackathons. What was the path to GitHub? How did that happen?
Oh, that was an easy one. So, if you heard of the NASA Space Apps Challenge?
I have. That was my first ever hackathon. NASA Space Apps 2013. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ran the one back in 2016 here in Melbourne. Actually, when people ask me what my favourite hackathon is ever, it's definitely that one. I'm slightly biased, but it's definitely that one. And I remember chatting to IBM because I was really good mates with IBM at the time, and still am. And I was like, hey, I'm running this hackathon, keen to like, chuck me some sponsorship, whether it's a physical product to give to as prizes or whatever happens to be. They're like, yeah, we can do something. Oh, you should also get GitHub on board. I'm like, what's a GitHub? Like, I kind of heard of it back then. But not really known too much about it. I'm like, that's an open sourcey thing that developers use to write code, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, sort of, but more than that. And I was like, okay, cool. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll just put you in touch with, like, the APAC person. You can chat to them. I was like, okay. And they sent me an email, and I was, like, super, like kind of like fangirling a little bit as well. The fact that they like responded to me within like half an hour being like, it's so lovely to meet you, this is awesome, we'd love to sponsor hackathon. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I got the GitHub wanting to sponsor the hackathon, and when they say sponsors, like they're just sending me stickers, which is what we do, right?
Absolutely. I mean, GitHub stickers are in high demand everywhere.
Oh, they are super high demand. I think there was a shortage of them at one point, and like the whole developer community was like, "What?" But yeah, so that's how I kind of met GitHub, was through running that hackathon, and we just kind of clicked and had like this kind of like relationship ever since then. So I was like started promoting GitHub at all the hackathons I was running. They were sending me stickers for everything. I'd get like a shipment of stickers once every month for all the meetups and hackathons and stuff that I was running. And we kind of just like went along that pathway.
Awesome.
And I got to meet up with all the team, like whenever they were in Melbourne. And it was just this really fun kind of relationship that we had. We kind of like it. I ended up being like an unofficial ambassador.
Right.
Like unofficially, we didn't have any at the time.
Now we have the GitHub now with GitHub Stars.
Program.
Yeah, I was about to say. Now there's a name for that.
I was like
you were the prototype.
Star, right?
You were the pilot program. Yeah.
Well, now we have the program, but I was kind of like before that program happened. That was kind of like what I was doing, and I just really I loved what I was doing. And they're like, "Hey, we should really just hire you to do this job and do like what?
Right.
Like, that'd be cool."
Yeah.
And then they hired me back in November 2018, and I was working with them.
Really?
Yep.
What if it was earlier than that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, November 2018. I was officially working for them as a contractor. So I was running. I was more covering the APAC region. So I was running lots of events and speaking at conferences and things like that. And then they're like, we would love to hire you full time. I was like, cool, that'd be great.
Awesome.
So I'm now officially, as of like July 2019, July last year.
Cool.
So it's been over
I thought you was going to say July this time. I was going to be like, not the least stressful time to join as DevRel, but July 2019 is not terrible.
Yeah, that was great. I got to, and since then it's just been like just a crazy fun whirlwind ride. Like we've run events all over the world, which has been really exciting. We get to profile people from all over the world, which is what I love about DevRel, is finding really, really good developers and profiling them and showcasing them.
So I guess this would be like the GitHub README project, kind of. Is that what you're talking about with profiling?
A little bit, but I've been working more on like the GitHub Action Heroes. So we had this whole blog series where we were profiling developers who've got really cool actions, which is really fun. We're
cool. I missed this. This is awesome.
Helping with the STARS program, which is exciting. And then even now, like during lockdown, like showcasing amazing maintainers as part of our Open Source Friday. So on the GitHub Twitch channel, we have an official GitHub Twitch channel, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I know. This is completely tangential, but during our first show, it might have been second show, I looked over at chat and saw the official GitHub Twitch channel in my chat, and I was like, what is happening? Who is that? Who is watching? I was very excited.
Yeah, probably would have been AJ.
Probably.
But it's really good that we have the official channel now, and we run all our Open Source Fridays, so we get a maintainer onto the program, onto the show, and we chat to them about what their project is, how they got involved in open source, how they started their project, how to contribute to open source, top tips for contributors, top tips for maintainers.
Yeah.
It's been really good. We've had like amazing people. Like we've had Next.js, we've had WordPress, we've had we've got Stripe coming out, we've had React Query, we've had like so many like amazing. We've had the GitHub Docs, which is now open source. We've got like GitHub CLI, which is open source. So we get to like profile some of the stuff within our internal community as well. So it's been amazing to be able to do that during this lockdowny time. But
that's awesome. So keep him busy.
Yeah, we just do amazing things like that, and obviously, it's just really cool to be part of DevRel.
Right. Yeah. So I was going to ask what like your day to day is like, but it sounds like, especially I'm especially interested with like at the moment, because obviously what DevRel at GitHub looks like. We spoke to Brian a little bit about this as well when Brian was on in our first week. Like DevRel for everyone has changed, but like especially DevRel at GitHub, which used to be like there used to be a lot of like regional events for GitHub, and I know that was true for the Australian team as well. So has that been how like y'all have moved and transitioned, like doing more of these like different experimenting with Twitch and doing different things?
Yeah, so we're running like these virtual meetup groups. We've done them in India, Spain, Russia, Latin America, and we've been doing these like virtual events. So similar way we'd run a normal meetup, which is, hey, here's a couple of people from GitHub to chat to you about some really cool things that we've launched, but more importantly, here's people from the community. talk about their projects and what they're doing on GitHub. So we've been doing those. We obviously had the Open Source Friday streams, which have been really quite successful. People have been loving coming on and chatting to maintainers and just open source people and getting really good insights into how to get involved as a developer, then involved as open source, and then involved specifically as a contributor maintainer. And then we've obviously been doing just transitioning everything we can to virtual. So it's really interesting. People are like, oh, you must be like less busy because you're not traveling. It's like, well, we're not traveling, but I'm actually more busy because
now I don't have the excuse of being on a plane.
Oh, pretty much. But also you don't have the excuse of, sorry, I can't come and speak at your event in India because I'm in America at that time. It's like, oh, I'll speak at your event in India in the morning. I'll speak at the one in America that evening.
Yeah. And this Joe dude will get me on a stream at 8 a.m. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. I was like, oh, how terrible. Like, for example, if you ask me, like, what a day in the life of me is, it's like, let's just go have a look at today. Today's like, sure, I'm chatting here with you about, Hacktoberfest and getting involved and what we're doing. Then I've got a talk that I'm giving to Commonwealth Bank. They've got their tech academy, and we're talking to them about what is open source and how to get involved in open source. I'm writing blog posts for us on our channel, so we're again profiling developers and things like that. We're getting ready for our Open Source Friday stream this Friday. Get to do some fun things like obviously printing the pumpkin pie and getting that all organized for Halloween. But then I do my own Twitch streams and afternoons on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm usually streaming live code, so I've been streaming. We've been doing Vue.js,
cool,
C#, Ruby, Python, a little bit of PHP. I hate it. I'm really mad.
We had a weird amount of PHP on this show. I think I've seen more PHP in the last 3 weeks than I have in the last 10 years. It's been interesting.
It's nuts. But there's that. There's going through, obviously helping out the different teams. So I'm looking after a lot of our docs stuff. So we've obviously been getting people to contribute to the docs. Since not just since it's been open source, obviously it's Hacktoberfest. We've got our last few days of Hacktoberfest coming up, and then we're getting ready for our big conference. So we've got GitHub Universe coming up soon too. So it's a day in the life or a week in the life is just one crazy thing after another at the moment.
Yeah, I'm still weirdly weirded out that GitHub Universe isn't in October. I feel like my internal clock used to be very hardwired to like, oh, it's October, GitHub Universe time, and I still haven't got my head around the fact it's in December now.
Well, it's usually November, but it's just like we pushed it to December, and it's like, oh, it's so far away. But then I'm just like, I look at the calendar and go, oh my gosh, it's like November next week.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening to I was like, what happened to 2020? And everyone's
it's
like,
still March. It's still March.
I know. Did you see? I thought there were really funny memes earlier this year. And it was like the 2020 calendar, and it was like January, February, and then like December. Then in the middle was like a just jumbled mess of like all the months all smushed together.
Time and stuff meeting. Yeah, people keep asking me like, "Oh, hey, like, there's lots of streams on. Like, how are you coping?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? This is the most routine I've had since like it all started.
I know, right?
It's like added 5 days back to my life."
I know, right? I've got like a regular streaming schedule, which I've never had because I'm either, as I say to people, I'm either at an event, running an event, in some random country running another event or speaking at an event, or I'm playing sport most nights as well. And so I'm just like, none of that is happening. So I've got this regular streaming schedule, which is just so different than the usual. I'm actually super keen to get back to I'm one of those people that doesn't like that routine. I mean, I'm gonna like the routine of going back to play sport, I think. And, being on a plane and just going and just seeing physical people. So for those of you who don't know, I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and we've like had a pretty hectic lockdown here, and we've just got announced that we now have, well, as of a few days time, we're now allowed out for more than just shopping and exercise. Like shopping for essentials and exercise, but like there's still like so many restrictions in place. So it's been really hectic here. Like we haven't been able to see people or do anything. It's just like,
Yeah.
I just want to see physical people again.
Yeah, it's going on a long time.
Yeah, and like especially for us, so we've
Yeah.
had in my team at GitHub, we went from
Yeah.
having like 4 people at the start of this year, so my team's
Right.
now got 11, and I haven't
wow.
met most of them in real
Yeah,
life
yeah,
now,
yeah.
so it's like none of us have caught up IRL.
Yeah.
Like we're usually at least at an event
Yeah.
once every couple of months, and you're seeing,
Yeah.
even though the whole team's not, you're seeing other people from your team, because I work in
Right.
Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
Most of my team works in, you know, the US, in
Yeah.
either Seattle or San Francisco, so
Mhm.
I usually don't get to see them most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just like,
And then the big gathering point on the calendar every year for GitHub is GitHub Universe, which is of course also virtual. So yeah.
I mean, as I said, like it's usually a couple of us in a location at one time, but even just not being able to see the Australian team, which is mostly we've got a lot of sales here, but not being able to see them either is like, oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We have like a similar thing at Raise, where like John and Chris have been working on Raise for a long time, but like since like this version of Raise, like our online version, like since that started, like it started during COVID. Like none of us have ever met each other in person, and it's just really interesting.
It's
like
so weird. Yeah.
Running a company in that context. I actually, funnily enough, like part of the reason why I think it's especially weird. One of my favorite pieces of advice about working remote came from when I joined GitHub, and someone told me that like, hey, although we're a remote only company, it's really one thing that's really important is like being able to being able to hear someone's voice when you read a message from them. And like, hey, you like text is like loses a lot of nuance. So if you've met someone and spoken to them, and then you can put their voice like on how they're speaking, on like how they're typing, that makes a big difference. And like, it's just like the best you can do is video calls, and it doesn't make up for like understanding body language and that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And it's like also people are just like Zoom fatigued out. Like my family, like I haven't seen my family since Christmas, so they'll be like, hey, can we jump on a Zoom call and chat? Like, I'm so zoomed out. Like Zoom fatigue is such a big thing, just like seeing people on a screen and just chatting to a camera all the time. It's just like, I just want to go see people. And like, you're right, you lose a lot of that, that body language that you don't get from, being physically in the same room as someone. Obviously now people, I was chatting to someone last night, can't remember what the context was, but they're like, oh yeah, don't worry, if something goes wrong, people just walk away from the camera, like there's no like screaming or yelling or like flip tables or anything like that.
Turn off
like
the screen,
the camera off, and I'm just like, oh
God. Well, before we turn this into a COVID support group, we should pivot into Hacktoberfest. Maybe we should just do Race.dev, a COVID support group, and just treat them up. So on to Hacktoberfest. So actually, like, I know that obviously Hacktoberfest is a kind of wild time to be at GitHub.
Oh yeah.
I guess there's a whole heap of things I want to ask you on here, because I know you've been doing a lot of Hacktoberfest stuff yourself. So I guess I want to start with like a really high level question, which is like, for those people who are going into the last week of Hacktoberfest and still trying to like get their PRs down, like what advice do you have for them to finish Hacktoberfest?
Definitely find a project that you're passionate about and that you can like immediately give value, right? I mean, we've been talking about this on our Open Source Friday streams too. It's like finding the project is the hardest thing to do. But there's some really, really easy ways to do that. So, are you using any open source software programs at the moment? So, for example, right now, this whole setup is going through OBS. Now, OBS is open source, so I could go, oh, yeah, I know, right? It's like, let's go check to see if OBS is got some good first issues or Hacktoberfest issues. I haven't actually checked to see if OBS is opted in. But that's one thing. Check to see if the project is opted in, because now we have opt-in for Hacktoberfest, which I know Maintain has been asking for a while. So it's really good that we've been able to get the whole team behind it this year and have opt-in only for Hacktoberfest. And the next thing is like finding something that you're able to contribute to. So again, if you're say Python, go find something to do with Python, and there's ways to do that. So you can jump on the Hacktoberfest website and scroll down and go choose my language Python, search for topics, and it'll bring up all the repos that are tagged with Python or that are written in Python that are tagged for Hacktoberfest. There's other ways you can do it too. You can jump onto GitHub and look at trending topics and go, all right, show me all the trending open source projects that are written in Python, and then find it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, check out, again, look at what looks welcoming as a first-time contributor, especially if you haven't contributed to a project before. Like, check out their README file, check out their contribution guidelines. See if they're active as well. See how many other people are active.
Pull request to a 5-year-old old project may not be accepted.
Yeah, exactly. Like, make sure they're actually, active. They haven't just, turned on the badge for just Hacktoberfest.
1 second, sorry. That copy, I assume it is not as referring to OBS. So OBS doesn't have the Hacktoberfest topic, but what they do have that I just checked is they have the Hacktoberfest accepted label. So that says to me that they are preparing to accept Hacktoberfest contributions on a PRB by PR basis, which is the other way you can have it done. So I think you're good to go for OBS. You just have to be very nice and ask nicely. So like that. When you land on the repo, there's like a whole bunch of project files that tell you that can tell you a lot about that project. And again, like OBS is a great example where they've got contributing.rst actually, and there are other projects that have code of conduct and this kind of thing. I completely interrupted you.
That's all right. And just also remembering too that you don't just have to contribute code. There's lots of projects asking for documentation. Obviously GitHub Docs is source. So go check that one out. But I even saw one that was like, they were asking for like examples. We wanted, our documentation needed really good examples. So asking people to submit examples of how they use it. That one was Rich Python, the Python Rich library, for example. Then there's the GitHub CLI is also open source as well. So they just launched open source, and they definitely sure have the Hacktoberfest label now, because we had them on the Open Source Friday stream and they weren't aware of it, and then we
they weren't aware of Hacktoberfest?
No, they were aware of Hacktoberfest. They wasn't sure. They didn't know it was opt-in.
I was going to say, okay, cool. It's going to be like it's a rare open source project that manages to get through October, not becoming aware of Hacktoberfest.
No, it's more because it was the first 5 to 6 days was still not opt-in.
Yes.
So
Wild
obviously
times.
it's switched in the first week to opt-in only. So I think pretty sure it's gonna be like that for here and now. And we've had some really good feedback from that. So it's been great to be able to provide that to all the maintainers that like it. But the other thing is just being open accepting. Like we had who do we have on the stream? We had one of the maintainers. I have to check all the streams kind of mush into one for me now. But one of them said one of their top advice was don't get discouraged if your pull request doesn't get accepted.
Yes.
Because there's so many pull requests going in every day, and it doesn't mean that you're bad or you've written bad code, or it just might mean that you've missed something in their contribution guidelines. You might not have had the right label, or it might be that the thing is already there. So that's why if you are going to contribute to a project, especially for the first time, look at the issues, not just to find good first issues or Hacktoberfest labels, but have a look what's already being done from other people, because you obviously don't want to double up. It's not going to get accepted if you're doubling up. So just go and have a look. For, again, first timers, there's some really, really good projects who have done some amazing project boards, even specifically for Hacktoberfest. So we had Superbase on. They have an entire project board that was just there for Hacktoberfest to get people contributing. There's a couple others that had very similar kind of project boards on how to contribute. It's just really good. There's so many projects that have just jumped on board this year and just providing some really, really good stuff for not just contributors in general, but especially first time contributors. I feel like this year is a really get involved as a first timer, and there's so many people who are out there to help you. As a first-time contributor as well, not just other contributors, but the maintainers especially. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think one of the things, there's a couple of things on that I want to talk about, so I'm going to be jumping around a lot, so I'm sorry about that. But I guess on that note of there's a lot of projects out there that want to help you. I think there's no better kind of reflection of that than just how many projects opted in after that first week.
So I'm pretty sure the last time I checked the number, it was well over 30,000 projects that are opted in for Hacktoberfest.
It is 59,102.
So that was a couple weeks ago that I checked. So there's another double that, right? So it means that people are really obviously wanting people to come and contribute to Hacktoberfest.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the fact that nearly 60,000 projects have opted in, that's insane.
Yeah, especially like, and we've spoken about, we've had Matt Cowley on the show as well, the guy who maintains the Hacktoberfest app. We've spoken about the spam a little bit and like what happened and how it came about. But yeah, I think like the fact that like after that and how angry like it was everyone on social media that week, that now 60,000 projects were submitted in, really shows just like how much the will is on the side of like helping new people get started rather than kind of festering on the issues. It's super cool.
I think so. And all the maintainers we've had on the Open Source Friday, they all say the same thing. Like, we're maintainers, we're here to help you, not just help you. Like, one of them even said, we're not even just here to help you contribute to our projects, we're here to actually help you and teach you how to code. So if you want to learn code, come and contribute, because we'll teach you how to code so you can do the thing you want to do.
Right.
I think it's just, like, the open source community is just a great way to get involved in if you're just learning to code or you're coming to, the world of developing for the first time.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to go back to was what you were saying about pull requests. And really, this is just my thought on that. It's not really anything else to talk about. But I think that's a really great point. And one of the things that I think gets missed a lot is that like a lot of people see pull requests as like the end goal. That like, hey, I found an issue, I've done the code, I've submitted the pull request, now I'm done. But really, it's like the start of the conversation with the maintainer. We have a question for you from Paranoid.
We'll get to that question in a second. I want to riff on this.
Go for it. Yeah.
What you were saying. So you were saying like
it's like the start of a conversation, and like isn't your completion point. And actually at that point, like I've always thought, and I know this gets batted around a lot internally as well, that like pull request is a challenging name. But I think like
it is, and we'll talk about this. So like this is one thing about Hacktoberfest, right? Is Hacktoberfest like to finish it, you need to do pull requests. But when we talk to all the maintainers, they say like there's so many valuable contributions that come not just from people writing code and not just from pull requests. Like they said, some of their most valuable contributions have come to people, will come from people who are literally just like commenting on issues and making suggestions, people jumping in the discussion board. Nearly all the maintainers we've chatted to have communities outside GitHub too, so they'll have like Discord servers and things like that. And they said that is where the value of their community comes from, is people being involved in that kind of way. So I think if you find a project that you want to be involved in too, like actually get involved in it rather than just like, I've written my piece of code, I've done a pull request.
I'm in and out, I've got the t-shirt, bye.
Well, that's not even a thing, so much a thing anymore. Like so many people have been planting trees, right?
Right.
A trees not teas is the kind of like the
I haven't heard that, but that's brilliant.
Yeah, the slogan, trees not teas. Or if you want, you can actually get both as well. So if you really want the t-shirt, you can get the t-shirt and then go pay to get the tree planted as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's really exciting, and I think again, if we look at what maintainers of projects are really wanting these days, is not just code and bug fixes and feature builds and things like that. It's documentation, it's contributing to the community, it's providing good ideas, it's providing a inclusive community that accepts all types of people, and I think that's what's becoming really exciting about open source, is it's becoming a much bigger and broader community, which is why I'm super excited. Stuff like the docs is open source, because that's an entire thing just written in of documentation, which is awesome. So I think it's good, and again, it's contributing to a project isn't just about doing the pull request. Yeah, for sure.
Which I think we've seen in I don't know. I think the Hacktoberfest community itself is a really great example of this. I don't know if you've hung out in the Hacktoberfest Discord before, but there's a lot of people here, like Shreyas is here, and there's a couple of people who I don't know. I feel like just from this past month of doing this these streams and hanging out in that Discord, I feel like it's really actually made a community that has gone on to work on projects together and that kind of cool stuff. So I hope people find more communities that they feel at home with during this month. So do you want to get into this question?
Sure.
This is my least favorite genre of DevRel questions.
Is it Paranoid Android?
Yeah.
Is asking.
Who is also a regular to the show. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. Our developer, community managers, technical people. It really depends on the person and what the company is looking for. So, for example, I don't really have much of a coding background. I did a little bit of code at uni, but my job isn't coding. My job is, profiling people in the community, running events and things like that. I mean, obviously I can code now. But I'm not the greatest at it.
Right.
It really depends, right, on the person. It depends on the company. It depends on the position. I know, like, for example, my colleague Brian, who's the developer advocate, is obviously way more technical than I am. So he does more of our stuff on actions. If I have problems with my Node.js, or it's like, hey, I got stuck on this Ruby thing, like I'll go ask him. Our developer relations person in India is a lot more technical than I am. He used to actually, randomly, fun fact, work for DigitalOcean. So it's like he's got both sides of Hacktoberfest. I've met other developer community managers who are just, they're all people in DevRel. They're just technical people, and that's all they do. And I've met other ones who don't even know how to write a line of code. So it really depends, what type of the person it is and the company, and what the company actually wants. So
for sure.
I'm technical, but not like ridiculously technical. And I think it depends on your team composition as well. So across our team, we actually cover quite a lot in our developer relations team. And I think, again, that's one of the values of creating a diverse ecosystem, right? Is like I understand a lot more of like what newbie developers are looking for, and like what people are coming to contribute and develop for the first time, as opposed to some people who've been writing code for 10 plus years. So everyone has a unique perspective on different things.
What's that? Is it the curse of knowledge or whatever? It's like once you know something, it's difficult to like empathize with someone who doesn't know it and to explain it back to them, kind of thing.
Exactly. It's a bit harder to put yourself in that person's shoes.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely like also like this, as I said, like this is my least favorite genre of DevRel questions. I think it's just because it's like such a trope. That's nothing against you, Paranoid Android. It's just something that gets asked a lot. But it's definitely like with the different job titles I've had, it gets asked with like differing frequency. Like I used to have it a lot as a developer advocate, which I guess is like very similar to the kind of situation you're in. And then one of the ones that was really interesting is like with program manager, I found I had it a lot less, but my answer was also different. Like developer advocate is like, hey, my job is to talk about code all day, and then program manager on like a DevRel team, like my job is it's basically a project manager, and like the extent to which I interact with code is the extent to which like I needed to solve a problem today, right? Like there are like, I think this is the other thing that like software engineers who are writing code every day, that's like one way of interfacing with code. Like your job is to write code, whereas like as a technical person who's doing another job, code becomes a tool that you can use to do your job. And so the question then becomes like, is code the best way for me to solve this problem right now? And so like almost everyone in this industry like has that in their toolkit, or has that in their toolkit to some extent. And it's then like a question of like, oh, do I crack it out today? And most of the time the answer is actually there's an easy way for me to solve this. But it's there if we need it.
It just comes down to like understanding the people, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a community manager and you don't understand what your community is like, or the types of frustrations your community has because you've just never experienced it, you're probably not going to be the best community manager for them. It's like being a community manager of a video game. I know people like, community manager of, say, let's just go the Bethesda community manager for, that they manage like, Elder Scrolls and Quake and things like. If you've never played those games and you're the community manager, how are you supposed to like understand how your community acts, thinks, and feels, and what they care about, right? So it comes down to that. So it depends on how much you need to know about what your people are going through, and like do you have the skills and knowledge and the understanding to provide the community with what they need.
Right, for sure. And especially like GitHub runs literally every kind of person imaginable. Like there are people who use GitHub every day, and GitHub itself is a great example of this, because like GitHub itself, like y'all use GitHub for everything. And like a famous example is like the legal team use pull requests to manage contracts. So like there are people like GitHub who like use GitHub every day and never for code, and then you have people on the extreme end who like won't use GitHub without using the API to automate something away, right? So like it makes sense that you then have community managers and advocates on every point along that scale.
This is the biggest thing that I love about GitHub, and I actually do quite a lot of talks on this. Developers and non-developers working together, and that's what I love about GitHub, is because you can use GitHub every single day and not have to write a line of code. Like, there's all the issues and markdown and documentation and project boards and things like that you can really collaborate with one another without actually writing a whole lot of code. And that's what I love about it as a platform, is that it's this holistic approach where everyone can be working and collaborating on this one platform. You don't have to have your developers and your designers and your engineers and everyone like working in different different platforms and different things. Everything can be in one place and everyone can use it really, really easily, and that's what I love about it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, thank you for that question, Paranoid Android. So I completely forgot what we were talking about. We were talking about tips for getting started for like finishing your Hacktoberfest pull requests. And you walked us through some really fantastic ones. So we've also spoken a lot about the resources that y'all are offering up this month. So I guess another thing we're kind of like trying to get into this last week as we get towards the end is like, I don't know, a little bit of reflection on how it's all gone. And I guess we've spoken about that a little bit so far, but is there anything you're particularly, I guess, excited about having seen it happen in this month, or that like, ooh, you're flickering? I guess I think your OBS might be having issues.
I just have loved seeing the response from the community.
Right.
I've started writing a lot more on Dev 2, and I just love seeing the posts that people are writing on Dev 2. I love seeing new time contributors coming through. People were coming through and like sharing stuff on social media, like, hey, I finished Hacktoberfest and I planted a tree. Like, this is awesome. And I think it's just been really exciting just watching that wave of like excitement as people come to either open source for the first time, or we've had like some people been contributing like every year. This is the 7th year Hacktoberfest has run. And they have people like contributing like, so much. It's just been really, really great to see that. And I just can't wait to like, hear from some of the maintainers after Hacktoberfest and see how the projects like got kind of reinvigorated or bolstered from Hacktoberfest. I think that's what, again, that was why Hacktoberfest was started, so that to encourage people to get involved in open source, and I think that's what it's done. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Cool. So I have run out of my questions. Is there anything you want to talk to us about before we let you go? I just think, again, just if you're thinking about getting started in something, we spoke about a lot in our episodes for Jones, but again, it's the best tip you can give, which is just start. Stop talking about it and just start. Pick something and go for it. Give it a go. It doesn't matter if your pull request doesn't get accepted the first time around. It doesn't matter if you have to ask for help. Like, there are people out there who want to help you. There's other developers, other contributors, and the maintainers want to help you as well. So there's that help is there. All you need to do is ask and just go for it. And I think, if you want to learn a code as well, this is such a great time to do it. Picking a project and going for it, and just being part of the community as well. Don't just like, if there's something that you want to get involved in and you want to be more involved in, don't just stop at a pull request. Jump on their Discord servers, jump in their issues, jump in their discussion. Most of the projects we've been talking to have the discussion feature enabled, where you can go and have really good conversations with people and meet other people. Some of the best people I've met this kind of way. You just like run into them at a hackathon or on an open source project, and if you want to build out your network, that is the way to do it. So is this a really inappropriate forum to ask how we get the GitHub discussions feature now? Is that's still not public, right? It's still early access? Discussions is, let me pull it up, because we released earlier this year for the first time ever our public roadmap. So nice. So many new open things this year. Oh, we've just been shipping features all year. This is what I love. It's just been like absolutely crazy. Let me have a look. GitHub discussions. So if I go and look at the actual GitHub discussions card, go to issue, and this is all open, so anyone. I'm looking at it right now. I'm scrolling. I found it. Cool. It says we've got it on the roadmap for before the end of the year. Yeah, sometime before the end of the year. discussions will
Perfect.
be public.
Perfect.
But yeah, this is another really exciting thing we've launched this year. Is our project roadmap. We launched obviously the README profile. So if you haven't done a README profile, go and do that. That's a really good.
What is a README profile?
What is a README file? Go check out my one actually.
I saw you doing a stream on it.
Pardon?
I saw you doing a stream on.
Was
it stream? You did like a quick tip thing.
On the README profile of I built mine live on stream just to show you how amazing it is. But there's mine.
I personally am very excited about the MySpacification of GitHub.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what B Dougie called it as well.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I have MySpace again. But we've basically given you a markdown or way to showcase yourself in a markdown. So above where you usually have all your pinned projects and a contribution graph, there's now a profile. You can put anything you want in there. So it's markdown, so you can add GIFs, images. One of the guys at GitHub literally has a chessboard, and you can go and play chess on his README profiles. Yeah.
It's wild.
You haven't seen.
I saw one of the very early demos that someone did of making an interactive GitHub README. I haven't seen where people have gone past it. God, you are on top of it. These links are so fast.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I type very good. I have people come in and be like, "Oh, we got lightning speed typer here."
Oh my
sorry.
God, that is awesome. I need to. There's someone I need to send that to.
I'm gonna move H7.
Oh, are you doing that? You playing chess right now?
5. Yes. So you can play chess on Tim, and it's really cool. It's all done by issues. So you open up an issue, and then you submit it, and then a GitHub action actually runs, and the whole thing is done via GitHub Actions, which is really cool.
That's absolutely bananas.
So obviously we launched that. There's so many other things that have been launched. It's been shipping things left, right, and center. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Obviously there'll be more announcements at Universe, so make sure you go sign up to Universe.
Just a month.
Yeah, I know, it's so close. I'm so excited. But here is GitHub Universe, so go jump in to GitHub Universe, add it to your calendar. There's different tracks as well. We have a developer track, an enterprise track, and a student track as well. So that's gonna be cool. So it's
Universe bracket itty. I'm very excited.
Oh, look, I'm already on the homepage, actually. There you go. I'm on the homepage.
Nice.
So if you click on the developer track, you'll see me as the host for the developer track.
Ooh, very nice.
So,
very cool.
Yeah, so
nice.
it's going to be good. We're going to be talking about open source and maintainers and contributors projects.
And you can also see Brian Douglas, who was on our show earlier in the month, and over in the university track, Juan Pablo, who was also on the show earlier in the month. So we've had all the hosts. We've had our own GitHub Universe here without any of the announcements.
Exactly. There'll be more announcements and really amazing things. So
for sure.
It's
awesome.
gonna be good. Really
cool. So I was going to ask you if people want to get in touch with you and ask you questions about anything we've spoken about or catch up with everything you've got going on, where they should go. But you've already posted your wonderful GitHub README, which is the best possible place they should go, I guess.
Yeah, there's the GitHub README. There's obviously my Twitter profile.
Yep. Mish Manners everywhere. Very consistent branding.
Mish Manners everywhere. Instagram as well. If you feel like Instagram, Mish Manners on Instagram as well.
Yeah. And when's the next stream? You said Friday. Friday.
My next stream will be in 9 a.m. my time, about 2 p.m. my time.
Cool. And that's on Mish Manners?
Yep, on the Mish Manners channel. Cool. So you can come find me there. We usually do coding on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Otherwise, in the evenings, I play a whole host of games from...
you were on League of Legends last night, right?
To League of Legends, Fortnite, Overwatch... a game called Minion Masters, which is a really, really fun interactive game, which I really like. We've just been having lots of fun over on my channel. I'm a bit of a speed demon as well, so I like to play racing games on Thursday night, which is fun.
Nice. Which makes a lot of sense given your side gig.
Yeah, I know, right? And then obviously, come chat to me and find me on the GitHub Twitch channel. So we've got our official GitHub Twitch channel.
Yeah. Which is just GitHub, right?
It's just the GitHub one, yeah. So it's just at GitHub. So there we are. And then what we've done as well is we've created a virtual meetup group where we've been posting up the times and topics for all our virtual meetups.
Nice.
I'll drop that in the chat as well. So if you see like the next one coming up is we've got Floss and Code. I'll be putting the one up for this Friday. So we've got Vue.js and Stripe coming onto the stream.
Nice.
This week, and so also this Friday, so it'll be Thursday for all the Americans. Oh wait, yeah, you can put.
Or Europeans. Hey, there are more of us to the west than that.
Yeah. There's people everywhere. I stream quite regularly, right? And I have viewers all over the world, so I've kind of worked out most time zones of when people jump on.
I was on top of it until this week when only Europe's clocks went back and the rest of the world stayed the same. Lovely.
Yeah, well, about 3 weeks ago, Australian clocks went forward.
Right.
So,
oh God.
So it's
you've had your chaos.
It's been a lot of fun times for me and my team to work out our next sort of time zones and how to
dear.
I'm just like, oh wow, my entire calendar just got ruined in the space of an hour.
That was literally my panic Sunday when I woke up and realised everything had changed. Anyway, those are all the links. Thank you for posting those.
Remote and global, right? And
yes, exactly. And organising 15 streams on the week that clocks change without realising that's what was going to happen. Anyway, those are all those links. Thank you so much for those. Again, you're streaming tomorrow or today rather. Today over on your channel, which is down below. So thank you so much for spending this time with us and talking about all over the shop, your journey and Hacktoberfest and GitHub and best practices and ways to get started. And I hope folks tune. It would be 4 a.m. for me when you go live, so I will not be tuning in. I'm very sorry, but I hope other folks on the chat will be awake to tune in to your stream in a couple of hours.
I'm always happy to talk about whatever. Like as I said, we were randomly talking about hackathons last night and we're playing League of Legends. Yeah. So it doesn't really I've had full-on in-depth conversations. We can chat about this another time, but I run a couple of startups as well, so just because I don't have enough things going on at the moment.
And they're very cool, exciting startups
conversations on how to raise money and build a startup from scratch while playing Overwatch and still managing to win the game.
Nice, perfect.
So you can come and chat
those multitasking skills.
Totally multitasking. I'm actually not too bad at it.
Perfect. Awesome. Alrighty, cool. Well, we'll call it there. I will do the backstage shuffle. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, everyone, and lovely to chat to you too, Joe.
See you later. Bye. Alrighty, thank you, Michelle. That was awesome. So I hope that was useful for you. Great way to end the last stream on the first day of the last week of Hacktoberfest. We're giving you all the tips you need to hopefully find those projects and get your last pull requests in. So before we wrap up, do not go anywhere. Stay exactly where you are. As I said, we have 12 more shows left this week, and I want to make sure you have all the information to find those shows and to join us. So I will run you through the shows that we've got to come. Thanks, Sherry. Hope you enjoyed it. What was different about it? That's interesting. I want to hear. So let me run you through those shows. I'll give you a schedule preview for the rest of the week. First things first, if you haven't followed us, 3 shows a day is a lot to keep track of. Drop us a follow, click the love heart, click the bell. You'll get notifications whenever we go live. The other place you can get notifications is at RaiseDevs on Twitter, twitter.com/RaiseDevs. We tweet an hour before every show, so you cannot possibly miss a show. So that schedule, our full schedule is at twitch.tv/RaiseDevs schedule. Let me give you a little teaser of what we have to come. So tomorrow morning, we have Prince Wilson. Prince is a developer at Newsella, and which is an education-focused company, and a lot of Prince's work has been education-focused. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking about that, their developer journey. We're going to get into some Rust stuff in particular. Prince has been learning Rust and talking a lot about Rust recently. Prince is one of my favorite human beings, so I'm very excited to have them on the show. Then we have the Dev2 takeover. That's when the lovely folks at Dev that Michelle mentioned, developer community and blogging site, Dev take over the show. Nick and Christina, they get this channel. I go on holiday, I go have a cup of coffee. Actually, I sit and watch them whilst they work on Forum, the Ruby on Rails app that powers Dev2, and they do live coding on that, and they fix some issues live on the site. So that's the 3 p.m. UTC show tomorrow. Will be Nick and Christina back on the show working on Forum. The last show of the day is with Marcin from the Enzo project. Enzo is a visual programming language for data scientists. Really excited to talk about that show because we're going to be seeing some really cool kind of cutting edge programming language features, because Marcin is one of the engineers who writes the compiler, and we're going to be getting really in depth to some of the things that they are using to write this really interesting programming language, such as Truffle, which is part of the Graal VM, which allows them to have really seamless interop between other programming languages. I'm also going to be talking about some pretty hairy open source maintenance issues, because Enzo is a programming language which in the last year had a complete rewrite. They scrapped their old code. They abandoned one repo and moved to a new repo. So it's going to be really interesting to hear from an open source maintainer, because the programming language is open source, an open source maintainer on like, hey, we've just restarted our project and people are using the old one. How do we manage that? So that's going to be a super cool show. Wednesday morning, we have Matt Cowley himself back again. We spoke to Matt last week. For those of you who don't know Matt is the community platform manager at DigitalOcean, who at the moment is working a lot on the Hacktoberfest app that makes all the magic happen. We spoke to Matt about Hacktoberfest last week, and we got into the code of the Hacktoberfest app. Tomorrow, we're getting into Matt's other job, because managing Hacktoberfest isn't enough. We're going to look at Matt's other job, which is maintaining CDN.js, a content distribution network that maintains 10% of the internet. Busy man. So tomorrow, we'll be getting into CDN.js and looking through the code of that. Then after Matt, we have me making an error in my calendar. After that, we have Ramon. Ramon's a Ruby developer, and we're going to be looking at is that the Dance Mat one? I think it's the Dance Mat one. We're going to look at a really crazy project with Ramon that I'm very excited about. He made a Dance Mat controller with. Wait, hang on. I just typed that in the wrong chat. I think I have. Hang on, let me check this. Bear with me. Don't go anywhere. It was on Twitter. Don't go anywhere. I believe this was the show where. Yes, we're looking at a Dance Mat controller. This is going to be super fun. So he made a Dance Mat controller with a Raspberry Pi. And we're going to be looking at that tomorrow, which is going to be hilarious. So that's super cool. It's still working, by the way. That hardware's still working. We're going to see the hardware. We're going to see a Raspberry Pi Dance Mat controller. So I'm going to be 15 again. It's going to be wonderful. And then the last show of Wednesday is Angel Rivera from Circle CI, who's going to be chatting to our founder, John, about all things continuous integration. They're going to talk about continuous integration for developers, get through like the whole like, hey, why CI, how CI, and get into some examples. Super cool. Thursday morning is Guanluca. That's going to be what we call more than code episodes. We're going to talk about some other ways to contribute to projects, and that's going to be with Kubernetes. Guanluca is on the release special interest Kubernetes. So one part of what Guanluca does is help release and ship Kubernetes, which, you know, Kubernetes is used by literally everyone and everything now at this point. So it's a really big job and involves contributing to that project in ways that aren't strictly code related. So that's going to be super cool. Look at other ways to contribute to code. Then we've got Nathaniel from Twilio. We don't know what we're doing with Nathaniel yet. He's getting me that tomorrow, so I'll tell you more then. But Nathaniel is an awesome guy. He's a Twilio developer evangelist based in London. Then we've got Sam Lanning, who works at the UN, which will be really exciting to hear about. But also he's going to be showing us a project of his called Synesthesia, which is a lighting and music controller that they used to do like wild installations at festivals. So like really like intricate lighting setups of LED strips that would like sync and beat to music. We're going to be reviewing that old code. We've got a lot of really cool hardware projects on in this last week. And then Friday, our very last day, and I've got exciting news about this one. Friday, our very last day, we've got Nicholas Carrigan, which I'm very excited about because Nicholas is someone that we met, as in like this show. We met on this stream. They were a viewer of the stream. They came from the Hacktoberfest Discord, and they're coming on the show. They've been hanging out with us all month, and they asked if they could come on the show. And we've got some really cool open source projects there to talk about. So I'm so excited to have Nicholas on the show. Then we've got Eddie. Eddie was one of our first people on the show. Eddie's an open source advocate and has been doing a lot to help people with this Hacktoberfest, been doing lots of content. He has a great YouTube channel, helping people get into open source. So that's very much a reflection episode. We're going to talk about how Hacktoberfest has gone, what he's been up to, that kind of thing. And then the last episode, I'm so excited about this. So I told y'all before, if you were a regular viewer, the last episode is with Chris from Raise.dev. He's a developer, he's a coach. He helps people he like mentors people during Raise.dev. But in the past, he built the Hacktoberfest app. The Hacktoberfest app that's currently running was built by Chris and the team, and now it's managed by Matt Cowley. Here's the twist. We've got Matt back for that Friday show. So we're having old maintainer, new maintainer, Hacktoberfest double bill, where Chris and Matt are going to get into the Hacktoberfest app together and talk about that app and how Chris built it and how Matt manages it now. Oh, it's going to be so good. It's going to be such a great way to end Hacktoberfest. So that's our last show on Friday night. Again, you can find that full schedule at twitch.tv/devs. So that's finally everything from me. I will let you go. Final reminder, you can get help from our expert coaches at race.dev. We are completely for free while in early access, and we will help you get the experience you need to level up your career. So you can find all of that down at the link below. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful night or day or morning if you're in Australia. And I hope we see you on one of our future streams. And I hope Michelle sees you on her stream in a couple of hours. And if none of that happens, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Hacktoberfest and make those PRs. And we will see you at the next one. Thank you very much.